Hello and welcome to Psych Reflections. With the scent of Shivli flowers around, marking the auspicious hour of the descent of Mahashakti, let us take some time to understand what is the significance of the 10 days of Durga Puja. Whether you celebrate it from the first day or from the sixth day, or you are only aware of the concept, it doesn't matter. Most of the people today celebrate puja as just a festival or an occasion of spending your time with your friends and family. As much as I appreciate this idea of celebrating the occasion with our friends and family, we forget to realize that these few days also provide us an opportunity to connect to our deeper self. Durga, also revered as Mahashakti or the Adya Shakti, is the manifestation of the supreme divine force for the creation of the universe. Any rational being will not disagree with the fact that the universe is made of a conscious energy. This conscious energy is called the Shakti. If one look closely at the stories of the Puranas, which inspire the Mahishasur Mardini Strotam, we would understand that the stories about the demons and the goddess taking different forms to kill each of them closely reverberates with our own internal battles. The demons that Mahashakti slays each represent a particular psychological attribute or psychological state within us which pulls us down towards our own end. An end not necessarily meaning death, but a downfall of our inner being. The world today is full of depression and anxiety and other psychological disorders. People live in constant despair. A gloomy sadness pervades the atmosphere like dark clouds, perpetuating constant fear and isolation. We see increasing selfishness and self-centered desires accompanying huge egos. All of these qualities, these states, are indeed the demons that Durga slays as told in the stories in the Puranas. Let us now look at some of these demons and what psychological attributes do they represent. The first is Shumbh and Nishumbh, which represent doubt, where Shumbh represents doubting others, while Nishumbh represents doubting oneself. Doubt, which is the most cherished friend of reason today, rules the world. We start by doubting the other, the world, the fact that there is a force higher than us which is governing this world, and eventually we end up doubting our own self, that we are anything more than this body of flesh and bones. This doubt of the essential truth of ourself eventually leads up to an existential crisis. The second set of demons described in the Puranas are the Chand and Mund, who are the army chiefs of Shumbh and Nishumbh, where Chand is a hard-headed asura who opposes everything that is told, and Mund never uses his head. Sounds familiar? We are surrounded by people who oppose everything in the name of reason. They argue every given truth, whereas there are others who blindly follow the procession of thoughts and ideas without even questioning them for once. The reason has its own rightful place in the process. However, an excess in both the sides is catastrophic. The next asura is Raktabij. Raktabij literally translates as blood seed. The story of Raktabij is an interesting one. Raktabij gains a boon from Lord Brahma that every drop of blood that falls from his body on the ground gives rise to 1,000 other Raktabijas. Now what does Raktabij represents? Raktabij represents our desires. Like every drop of blood from Raktabij gives rise to 1,000 other Raktabij. In the same way, in our own selves, one desire gives rise to 1,000 other desires, and we spend our own life quenching the thirst of these desires, which perhaps never get fulfilled. To slay the demon Raktabij, Mahashakti takes the avatar of Mahakali, and Mahakali, in order to destroy Raktabij, drinks every single blood from his body that is spilled without letting it drop on the ground. Mahakali is hence also called Rakteshwari, and this is the reason why there are still places in India where Mahakali is worshipped with blood. The blood represents our own desires that we surrender at the feet of Mahakali. The last asura is Mahishasur, who is a buffalo-headed demon. Ever wondered why a buffalo demon? Why not a demon with 10 heads or 10 feet or 10 limbs? The buffalo is the symbolic representation of what happens when the animal nature governs the human mind. The animal nature not literally means the animal, but a lower consciousness which is driven by instinct and rage. Mahishasur, who was driven by his instinct and rage, could only be transformed through his killing by the Mahashakti. All these demons that we have discussed so far are the ones that are inside us: doubt, pride, desire, antagonism, and not using our own mind. These psychological attributes have their dwelling in our physical, emotional, and mental body. These 10 days or the 5 days of puja provide us an opportunity or an occasion to acknowledge the presence of these demons or these qualities within us and surrendering ourselves to the Divine Mother, the Adi Shakti. The Divine Mother, the conscious energy, alone can transform these perversions of our nature into its rightful counterparts of humility, benevolence, gratitude, and all embracing knowledge and an affirmative truth of being. The divine conscious energy or the Mahashakti is not just an idol, though an idol is a symbol or a representative of this Mahashakti. But this force is immanent in the entire creation, which flows through the very atom of our being. One may now question that if only surrendering could help all the problems, then what else is needed? Well, the act of surrendering is the most difficult in the entire process. Here, you are not surrendering to a person, to an idea, or to a cult, but to the supreme conscious force which is unfathomable to the human mind, but is and can still be experienced in our inner being. The idol of Ma Durga gives an opportunity to look at a form of this unfathomable energy. The idol of Ma Durga gives us an opportunity to look at a form of this unfathomable conscious energy and to contemplate her many sides in the 10 different forms that Durga takes, which are Shailaputri, Brahmacharini, Chandraghanta, Kushumanda, Skandamata, Katyayani, Kalratri, Mahagauri, and Siddhidatri. The divine Shakti, the supreme conscious force, is all powerful, yet is benevolent, for she is the mother of all creation. The idol of Ma Durga adorns the Abhay Mudra and the Varad Mudra simultaneously with the trident, sword, and other weapons. So, apart from surrendering, which is giving all of ourselves, even the parts of ourselves which we are ourselves not aware of, to this divine Shakti, we can begin with small steps. First is silence. Cultivating silence within you is one of the primary requirements of any psychological culturing. All the practices of mindfulness, pranayam aims at it. Most people prefer cultivating silence by focusing on their breath or noticing their thoughts and many other such mediums. You can choose, of course, whichever ways that suits you best. Most people wrestle with the idea of cultivating silence. It is as simple as sitting silently and shifting your inner awareness, and you can just stay in that poise for a really long time and connect to your inner being. The next is gratitude. From silence, One emerges in spontaneous gratitude for the entire creation. You don't need a gratitude journal or a book to feel this. Rather, it is a native movement of your inner being, which appreciates the beauty and bounty of the entire creation and leaps with joy at the feet of the supreme conscious force which is responsible for the manifestation of this creation. The next is benevolence. Gratitude naturally leads towards benevolence for everyone, be it humans, animals, plants, or even the objects around you. You start finding beauty in everything. Start interacting with all of them with sensitivity and care, as if you have connected to their essence. The next is purity. Of the many things which are contented in this world, the concept of purity is perhaps on the top. There are many philosophical and sociological writings which argue about the concept of purity and its relation to our everyday life. However, in our present discussion, we will refrain from all of that. Purity is that which uplifts the being towards light, beauty, truth, and freedom. One may practice purity by following the do's and don'ts of the scriptures. However, one may also practice purity in their thoughts, emotions, feelings, and everyday work by refraining from thinking in narrow boxes or from thinking of evil for someone else or refraining from the emotions of jealousy or anger or sadness. One practices this purity in their everyday life. And lastly, an action in service to the divine conscious force. It is to be remembered that while we practice the above mentioned, we are not required to abandon any action. One has to carry out the everyday actions, be it the manual work, studies, or anything else that you do. And in this action, sometimes we have to do a violent action, maybe to end a system or to begin a new one. Whatever the nature of the action, if it is important for the upliftment of the service, it is necessary. Do every work, the trivial of all, as a service to the divine conscious force, who is indeed the doer and receiver of all works. In the end, it is not just the idol of Ma Durga who has come home, but it is an occasion for the invocation of the divine Shakti within each and every being of the earth, for uplifting us out of the darkness of our being and taking us into the highest of our reaches. This is not just a 10-day spiritual practice, but a very grounded pragmatic, psychological process of living. Thank you so much. See you in the next video. If you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel.